Annalise Grace. I'm the student body president, and I'm going to talk really briefly about why I love GDS. Honestly, I could talk for 6 hours about why I love GDS, but I'll keep it brief. I think if I had to sum up everything about my high school experience, it would be that word, everything. I've played 5 sports. I have been in 4 musicals. My freshman year, I joined 18 clubs. I've dwindled back a little bit on that. But this school gives you the opportunity to do everything your heart desires. And I am so grateful for that opportunity. And I think kind of my high school experience, looking back, I'm a senior now, it's kind of like I cannot think of anything I would have rather done differently. I've had, honestly, the best experience. My brother spent his 4 years in high school. He had the best experience, and also his transition from high school to college was just super smooth and easy, and I think that's also a testament to this school and all the things that it does. It's hard for me to talk for so briefly about, I could literally pour my heart out to you about this school and the things it's done for me. I've been injured recently, and just kind of the response I've gotten from my teachers, from my classmates has been so helpful, and it's just been so easy for me. I've missed a lot of class, but it hasn't even been an issue. Teachers have been so supportive, they've been so helpful, so has the rest of my classmates, and honestly, this school, I owe everything to this school. So I could keep going, but instead it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Feivelman, who's the head of the upper school. She keeps this place running. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I know a lot about clubs, student council, sports, musicals, whatever. I also play the violin. I've played the violin here since kindergarten. That's another thing. This is a great place. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. So my name is Susan Feivelman, and I'm the director of the upper school. Our students always have the most important and interesting things to say about who we are and what we do. So it was a pleasure to be able to have you meet students out in the lobby, but also to have you meet Annalise Grace here in the Sloan Theater. What Annalise left out, and I must confess, she is an incredibly courageous young woman, and I'm sure you picked up on that already. But she and I spent a total of 3 weeks together last summer. We began, and I'm looking at Miriam Forbes because her daughter, Kat, who's one of Annalise's classmates, shares in this courageousness. We began with hitting the dark blue trail in Pisgah National Forest on the junior backpacking trip, and spent 6 days, 5 nights together on the trail, getting really stinky, smelly. I was reminding Pat Watson of that, and having adventures, getting a little lost, and finding our way back to where we needed to be. Learning that rattlesnakes are awesome reptiles that have little interest in us if we pay little attention to them. And if that wasn't exciting enough, Annalise, Kat, and I then took off for 2 weeks in South Africa on July 4th and spent those 2 weeks on the Eastern Cape working with a nonprofit organization providing academic support and art enrichment to students in a township program. But we were living as a family, much like on the trail. And that's what I love about the upper school, is that we strive to create opportunities where students and teachers become collaborators, become partners in learning. And over the 4 years, we have the best job in the entire world. We have a front row seat being able to watch children grow into young adults. And it happens in this magical way that I feel sorry that you don't have the chance to witness the way that we do. But let me tell you, there's a plan, there's a method to our madness, and our goal this evening, you had a chance to talk with great department chairs, inspiring students. The deans and I want to introduce them to you in just a moment. The deans and I would like to take about 20, 30 minutes just to consolidate what you have heard with some very structured information, and then give you a chance to go back out and ask questions based upon what you've heard. So let's begin. Let me begin actually by introducing you to 4 fabulous people that I have the pleasure of working closely with each and every day. And so if you'll just stand as I call your name so everyone can say, yay, go team. Jennifer Ford, who is the director of our dean system and is in her second year here at Greensboro Day School. We convinced Jennifer to come on down from the Philadelphia area to join us at GDS. She brings tremendous experience in the field both of college counseling, as well as college admissions work, as well as the field of counseling itself. She, after several years of working in an independent school boarding environment, returned to school to complete her master's in social work. So she really keeps us all in line. Tammy Alt is a native of South Carolina, but immigrated to North Carolina in her early 20s and has spent the better part of her career in higher education. We were lucky to steal Tammy away from Guilford College. So she brings the sensibility of student life that spans not just late adolescence, but into the college years. And we've been able to partner with Tammy in teaching her a little bit about what those early adolescent years look like. And she is an exquisitely fast learner and essential member of the team. Margaret Brown is our alum on the team. Margaret came to Greensboro Day School in 7th grade. You are getting ready to go on your 9th junior backpacking trip, is that what I remember correctly? After graduating from Greensboro Day, she returned as a science teacher. I had the pleasure of meeting Margaret when she was on leave and had gone back to graduate school to pursue an advanced degree in public health. And as we built the dean system, Margaret came on board, came back to Greensboro Day School, and she gives us all sorts of institutional knowledge and history about the school that's important for those of us that are newer in the community to know and understand. And then rounding out the team is Mr. James Hightower. Mr. Hightower is one of those people that we go to whenever we have a question about college counseling or the meaning of life. And sometimes those two questions are one and the same. He has brought many years of experience of working, we say, on both sides of the aisle, both in college admissions as well as college counseling in a number of different colleges, universities, and independent schools. But when I called him 2 years ago, he was at the Lovett School in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was trying to think, how can I talk this incredible man into giving me the time of day to talk about Greensboro Day School when he's a native of Pittsburgh and he's in Atlanta now. And I was delighted to know Mr. Hightower's mother's family hails from Greensboro High Point. So it was a nice opportunity for us to say, come on home, James. So you're gonna get to hear from all 4 of these people this evening. This is the scary part for me when I wonder, is it the arrow on the right or the arrow on the left? Let's find out together. It was the one on the right, remember that. So we want to talk about curriculum in the upper school because it really is part of the heart and soul of what we do. We love learning, and our curriculum begins to define what the outer boundaries of that learning can look like, and offers us an opportunity to ask questions that empower us to continue to improve our curriculum. So there are 3 questions we like to consider, and they all begin with keeping our students at the center of the conversation. We want to make sure that both the academic and the social curriculum is inviting each and every student to participate fully in an upper school experience. We want to make sure that our curriculum provides a broad array of courses, learning opportunities both within the school and outside of the school, and the students are able to take advantage of a full range of opportunities. We know that meaningful learning is at the heart of what we do. And each year, similar to what I tried to share with you about the Beloit list, that every group of 9th graders that come into the upper school come with a different set of experiences, and our curriculum has to be responsive to the changing needs and interests of our students. And finally, do we have the right systems in place to make sure that we are supporting the academic as well as the social needs of each and every one of our students. So over the next 30 minutes, we hope to demonstrate for you how we answer that question. We're going to begin by talking about the upper school community.
Good evening. Again, my name is James Hightower. I want to welcome everyone this evening. We have a tremendous community here at Greensboro Day School. Along with a challenging curriculum that matches our students' interests, they will also find an education that extends beyond the boundaries of the classroom. More specifically, an education that reaches across athletics, the arts, travel opportunities to places such as South Africa, Australia, as well as semester programs throughout the country. Students will find within these opportunities the chance to develop and hone their individual leadership skills as well. As you already know through your experience in the lower and the middle school, we have a tremendous faculty here, also here in the upper school. They're dedicated to supporting students not only on a day-to-day basis in the classroom, but also through a strong advising system that helps them with course selection and monitors their progress throughout the semester. Teachers are instrumental also in co-curricular activities and opportunities that support our students. For example, senior projects, the junior backpacking trip, which you heard a little bit about a few minutes ago, and a week of community service performed by our sophomore class. Clearly, none of our students' success would be possible without the involvement and support of our parents. Each semester, parent-student-teacher conferences are coordinated. This collaboration gives everyone involved a chance to talk about the student's success in the classroom, as well as receiving constructive feedback. Parents can be more specifically involved in GDS life through the Parents Association, as well as the Parent Advisory Board. As you can see, across all divisions, there's a lot of support. It's hard to be left behind here and easy to get ahead. Recently, our dean team, as well as Dr. Feilman, had the opportunity to meet with the leadership team in the middle school to do some planning in terms of transition and what we can expect from the 8th graders coming into the upper school. So this is a wordle that sort of describes your students and sort of who they are, what they're into. They're artistic, they're inquisitive. We found out that they like to break things and put them back together. They're thoughtful, they're loving, all the things and all the characteristics that we look for students transitioning into the upper school. Next, Jennifer Ford's going to come forward and talk about curriculum.
I promise not to go through the entire curriculum guide, but just in case you didn't have a chance to speak to all of the faculty, we wanted to go through some of the details of what is in there. And it's kind of small, but this is how you find the curriculum guide if you want to go and do some deep reading, really fun. This is from the Haiku page. If you go to the upper school homework pages, you will scroll down and the curriculum guide is there. So you can see it there. This is a brief description of what our graduation requirements are. And if you can read the fine print, it says that we have 20 credits. Our students take a lot more than that. But these are the essentials. And we have aligned our graduation requirements so that they match the North Carolina state school system, so that at least meets those requirements. We also, if you've had older children, you'll notice that the world language requirement has changed a little bit. We've upped that to meet the needs, to match what some colleges are doing. So there'll be 3 years of world language required. What you'll see from this is that we try to build in a great deal of both breadth and depth to the academics that we offer. And this lays it out in terms of our 4-year plan. So what do we do each year? You'll notice when you look at this, that in the 9th grade, there's not a whole lot of choice there. But as we scroll through, there's fewer requirements. And students will have the opportunity to fill in those blanks with courses, with elective courses that they really want to be taking. So not all of our students will take world language for 4 years. Some may choose to take more sciences their senior year. Once they've met those 3 credits in science, they can move on to an AP course or advanced course or take an elective. You saw Jeff had all those wonderful gadgets out there. An engineering class. I was up visiting the engineering class the other day, and one side of the room there were electric circuits that were being generated through the computer, and other kids were using the woodcutter and creating other gadgets, and the printer was going. It was really exciting and very different from the education that I had in my public high school. So it was a really rich experience. Jeff was bopping around between the different students and asking them questions to help them solve their problems. So not giving them answers, but so we have kids, as you can imagine, that get very interested in the sciences. But as you learn from all the other department chairs, different kids, different passions, and all of our faculty are doing what they can to help the kids fill in those blanks as they go through their curriculum. Tim Martin made a really fun comment when we were visiting the 8th grade team the other day, and he referred to, he had all this, the tinkerers, your children are maybe some of them, the breakers and the putter-togethers. But he said that he really encourages students when they come to the upper school to take a little bit of everything. His metaphor was that when you go, you see the Sistine Chapel when you're in Rome, whether you think you want to see it or not, but it's just something you do. And so likewise, he said, when you go to the upper school, you try out for a musical production. You do that, you just try it. And so this, again, is how our 4-year plan is set up. We want to introduce students to everything in the 9th grade year. And then in the 10th grade year, they'll have a little more choice, and we gradually build that in so that they're getting ready for college in a lot of ways. And we do that across not only the curriculum, but how we work with and engage with students. You'll see in the 9th grade year, there's something called Habits. And the Habits course is and remind me to go back, I want to show you something on that last slide. But our Habits course is a class that all of our 9th graders take. And Habits stands for, it's up there, Habits, Attitudes, Behaviors, Integrity, Tools, and Study Skills. And this is a class that not only prepares students for their academic changes that they're going to be facing in the upper school, but also for social transitions. So we built in this class a required class for all of our 9th graders to be paired with their peers, to ask these questions, to slowly build in times for study hall, for them to gain independence and use those skills. This year we also started a peer mentoring program. So every 9th grader is in a peer mentoring cohort led by junior and senior students who have gone through a leadership class. So we really are, in many ways, academically, socially, we're preparing students for the challenges, the excitement they're going to face in the upper school. I realized that I forgot on this last slide. Did I use my arrows the right way? There's a little asterisk next to U.S. government and economics. We have students, they're required to take at least one of those and one other social science their senior year. So that could be our psychology class. It could be that they're taking AP European history, and they're also going to take government or economics. They're welcome to take both government and economics. But again, just to keep you guys on your toes, we wanted to put in a little caveat there. So. Okay, so this is also just, and again, this is available in the curriculum guide, but to give you a sense of the advanced placement courses that we offer here, our students do not take all of them. We do not encourage our students to take all of them. This is, and I would say we've learned from Chapel Hill in our college process that students who take a few do really well, and as they take more and more and more, no additional benefit. So we want students to choose wisely, but this is what's out there, and we will work with students. The deans all work with the kids in their house to begin to develop a 4-year plan, course of study. So if a kid comes in and they say, I definitely want to make it to AP Physics, I know I'm going to go on and be an engineer, we will try to look at their curriculum and how they can make their choices along the way. We do our 4-year plan of study in pencil because children are growing and learning who they are, and we know those things will change. But this is kind of the idea of what they may be aspiring to, and it may not be physics, AP Physics, it might be engineering, it might be, I've always wanted to take the English electives that we offer. So we will build towards those things. And speaking of English, I'm gonna let Tammy come up and tell you a little bit more about our curriculum in the English department.
I know Jennifer said that she wasn't going to read to you from the curriculum guide, but
but I brought mine, and I'm going to start. I'm just kidding. Okay. We're going to talk about English first. I don't like to have this in here. Okay. We're going to talk about English first, and all ninth graders will take English, as you might suspect. This is not one of those classes that we divide out into an advanced or a regular section. Everybody takes the same level of English in the ninth grade. So the theme in the ninth grade, and you can see this if you go take a look at the curriculum guide, it's called The Quest, and a lot of the reading they do is about a personal quest. So that it's, you can, I don't know, did Mr. Zott talk to some of you about this when you were out there? Okay. So good, that's good. I hope that you would be able to touch on this. And if you have more questions about that when you go back out for dessert, I'm sure he'd like to give you some examples of some of those choices that the students have within their English class about the quest. And English is required for our students all 4 years. As you might have noticed on that slide that had the 4-year plan, everybody will take an English every year that they're in the upper school. Let's see. Social sciences. In the ninth grade, we're going to start with the ninth graders here. They are, once again, this is a course that all ninth graders are going to take. There's not an advanced section, there's not an AP section. Everyone will get all mixed up and they'll all take global perspectives. In global perspectives, they will talk about different topics across different regions and different parts of the world. So poverty, for example, they will take poverty and they will look at poverty from a variety of different perspectives. The other really unique thing that I love about the Global Perspectives class that they take in ninth grade is they are learning what we call some of the foundational skills of a historian. Do we have any historians in the room? Okay. What are some of the what are some of the foundational skills of a historian? Critical thinking. Help me. Effective writing. You guys didn't know there was going to be a quiz, did you? Mr. Slaughter, I'm totally putting you on the spot. Both of those. Okay. So, absolutely. Great note-taking skills, analyzing a text and pulling out the most important things, analytical writing, thinking critically. We want our students to start doing these things early. And what I really liked about this, when I saw this, when I knew I would be talking about this, is I can say, having worked with kids at the collegiate level, these are the skills colleges and universities want them to bring with them. So instead of waiting until junior and senior year to start thinking about analytical writing and critical thinking and pulling the most important things out of a text and synthesizing your thoughts and writing, we're going to start talking about that in the ninth grade, and then we're going to keep building and building and building. So I think that's just a really wonderful piece of our curriculum. And then the last thing I'm going to talk to you about is our world language requirement. As you saw on the other slide, and Jennifer mentioned, students will take 3 years of the same language in upper school to meet this requirement. We have Spanish, Latin, Chinese, and French for students who are currently enrolled in a middle school French course. We are not going to have students starting French in the upper school. It's something that they will have had to have started already. Okay, and if you have any questions about the language and the language requirements as we're wrapping up here tonight, we would love to take your questions and answer those. Thank you. And now Margaret's going to take over.
Thanks, Tammy. So I get to talk about math first, which I think is a really hot topic at Greensboro Day School. I loved all of my math classes here, honestly. Very, very truthfully, I say that. But as you all know, well, maybe you don't know, but our students are placed in ninth grade based on recommendations from the 8th grade math teacher and math program. And so we will then ask students to honor that recommendation of the teacher. And sometimes students may be asked to come in and take Algebra 1 again as a ninth grader. So maybe they did okay in Algebra 1 in 8th grade and they need some additional skills. If they were a student who's taking Algebra 1 in 8th grade, they need to really reinforce some of those algebraic skills. And the reason for that is that you need to have a solid and really strong foundation in algebra in order to move forward in any other advanced math course. The other reason is that sometimes we find if we really push students outside of their comfort zone or push them before they're quite ready, then they lose interest in the subject. Ms. Ford and I talk about that frequently, and if we had been pushed a little too fast, we probably would not have loved math. And I think she actually fell out of love with math at one point. I continued to love math, so we differed there, but we have a very strong belief in that solid foundation in Algebra 1. I see lots of nodding heads, so I think it resonates with you all here. And some of our math teachers, one of our math teachers had to take Algebra 1 twice, and he said it was the best thing he ever did, because then he actually got the rest of his math as he moved forward. And so, Algebra 1 is really, really important, and there's really no harm in having to take it again as a 9th grader if you're having to take it again, or taking it for the first time in 9th grade. So it's a very good placement. We will have some students coming in, as you can see up on the slide behind me, in geometry or in advanced geometry. We do have a smaller pocket of students who are in Algebra 2, so not everyone is taking the exact same math class, and I think that shows that we certainly, as Dr. Feibelman was alluding to, are going to meet the needs of our students as we see fit. Did I go the right way? Yes. Science. Now I'm all confused about the arrows. I thought I had it down, and now I'm second guessing myself. So right is right. They gave science to the former science teacher. They felt like I'd be able to talk about this, so cross your fingers that I get it right. But we are a physics first science curriculum, and it's actually a really, really awesome thing. Side note, I didn't take physics here until I was a senior in high school, and so it was a little strange, and I wish I could have had physics first. And reason being is that physics is a really great foundational science. It's also very tactile, hands-on, and if you saw Mr. Register out in the lobby, wow, right? And so many things that you can do. And it also aligns very, very nicely with math and with the majority of our math students' placement. There's lots of connections between physics and algebra, and so that's very logical for our students to be taking physics while they're also taking algebra. Works really, really well. Another reason is that as our students are moving through high school and advancing in different science classes, our biology class is actually more of a biochemistry class. There's a lot of chemistry. I remember when I first started teaching science here, we actually taught biology before chemistry, and I was so frustrated because I would be trying to teach these chemistry topics and principles, and my students were struggling. I was like, oh, it'd be so much easier if they had had chemistry before biology. And so we made the switch. And really, physics leads very nicely into chemistry, chemistry leads beautifully into biology, and then students love science and they take science all throughout the rest of high school and college. Those are two really, I think, great reasons to have physics first. And science is actually sort of like math, a subject area where we are allowing students to take what's appropriate and a good fit for them. And so we have some students taking standard physics and some taking advanced physics. And the advanced physics class is more math heavy, for lack of a better phrase. It's still very conceptually appropriate for our students where they are as 9th graders, but they are doing more math. And so typically our students would be maybe in a higher level math class if they were going to be in the advanced physics class. Better connection in there. Okay, now I get to go from science to art, which I talked with several parents out in the lobby about how there's actually this really beautiful connection between science and art. And I've shared a couple of stories. I had a student who was a phenomenal artist when I was teaching biology, and he did some of the most, I can't think of other ways to describe it, the most beautiful scientific work I've ever seen. And it was phenomenal. But our arts requirements, you maybe noticed when Jennifer had the 4-year plan up there that we asked our 9th graders to take an arts class in the 9th grade. And part of that is because we want them to be exposed to this wide range of subject areas. So they can really start to figure out, what am I interested in, what do I like? So we ask our students to sign up for an arts class. Well, there's a little bit more to it than that. They sort of have to figure out, do I want to be a generalist in this area, or do I want to be a specialist? And they don't have to decide fully right then and there, but it does matter ultimately. Our generalists may only end up taking 2 art classes throughout their entire time in high school. They would take an exploration class that could be a visual arts exploration or a drama exploration or a music exploration. And then they would take any other art class they wanted. It could be in the drama department, the visual arts department, or the music department. So that's 2 semesters, 1 exploration course and then 1 anything else they're interested in. If I come in and I kind of already know that I really like art, or maybe I'm just going to take an initial art class and I end up really liking it, I may end up taking 3 semesters in the arts. But all 3 of those classes are going to be in 1 discipline. So they would be in the visual arts, in drama, or in the music department. And so I might come in and take Art 1, drawing and painting as a freshman, and love it, and say, I want to stay in the visual arts, so now I'm going to take photography as a sophomore, and then I'm going to take Art 2. And then I'm going to go on and I'm going to end up taking AP, Studio Art, because I'm really that good. So our arts is a little complicated, but it's, I think, it serves very well the students who want to be the generalists or want to be the specialists. And then the last topic I get to talk about is PE, and this is also, there's a health education piece to this. So having a background in public health, I really like this slide too. So we have, for our PE requirements, our students are required to take 2 semesters of physical education, and one of those is required in the 9th grade, and that's our health and wellness class. And I could probably spend hours explaining why I think it's really, really important for our students to be educated in health education and wellness education. But, so they would take health and wellness in 9th grade, and the reason for this is that it really helps build the skills that our students need, I think, to make better decisions. So we were talking about some of those critical thinking skills, some of those analytical skills. We're getting a lot of those as well in our health and wellness class, where students are talking about physical health, mental health, social emotional health, maybe even spiritual health, the whole gamut run of, because health is multifaceted, it's really complex, and they're using those pieces to then improve their knowledge, their skills, and their positive attitudes about health. So they're making better decisions. And again, I could reference a whole bunch of literature about how classes like this, like a health and wellness class, really contribute to improved and positive health outcomes for our adolescents. And then they are required to take 1 additional semester of a PE. And it could be, we have lots to choose from. They're really, really awesome choices. Another perk with our PE course is that all of our students end up being CPR and first aid certified. So it's really phenomenal. If you ever come to an assembly, and Coach Schneider will frequently ask, who in here has been certified in CPR? And it's really 100% of everyone hand goes up. So we're always very, very safe with our students here. All right, and that's all I get to talk about. I get to hand it back over to James Hightower.
Good evening again. I want to talk to you for a few minutes about a little bit about community student life and specifically our dean system here in the upper school. As I mentioned earlier, we have a very vibrant student life here in the upper school. As our dean team over the last 2 years have visited our national conference, our regional conference, I believe that we are the only school in the southern region and maybe even on the East Coast with this unique type of dean system. I believe it originated on the West Coast. There's a school in Texas that follows the same model. But there are 4 of us, and we're each responsible across grades for roughly 100 students. With the idea in mind that from 9th to 11th grade, ideally 12th grade, that we'll walk hand in hand with students, beside students, support students through their student life journey and their student life experience here at Greensboro Day School. That having to do with discipline, extracurricular activities, co-curricular activities, again, discipline sometimes. But ideally, our two main responsibilities have to do with academic advising as well as college. We each have roughly 8 to 10 advisors in our house, and even though advisors deal with the day-to-day challenges and monitoring progress, one of our responsibilities is to oversee the 4-year plan as we get closer and closer to college. I can't believe in just maybe 6 weeks we'll start working with juniors and getting their college process kicked off. But we'll work closely and oversee that academic advising process as we look at the 4-year plan on the road to college. Once students, as I mentioned, get to second semester of their junior year, that dean that they've gotten to know over the last 2.5 years from freshman year to junior year, that dean will ultimately become the college counselor. Students will ask teachers to write recommendations, but your dean will ultimately write the school endorsement that talks about your performance in the classroom, extracurricular activities, who you are as a student, your moral compass, and things of that nature. I think one of the most proudest things, one of the things we're most proud about in terms of college counseling here is our matriculation list and the diversity in our matriculation list. And I believe last year was our largest senior class with 100. This year I believe it's roughly 88. But what I respect about our students is that they are willing to listen, they have an open mind, they're not afraid to take chances and look at some options that maybe they weren't aware of a year or two ago. So we're gonna have the usual suspects on the list: Duke, Carolina, Georgetown, Ivy League schools, places like that. But we'll have students to go to Whitman, we'll have students go to Wellesley, historically black colleges and universities as well. So we really encourage students to take ownership of their process. We support students throughout the entire process. We personalize the process. The mission of the process is what is the best fit for you as we look at the next 4 years. I'm gonna ask Margaret to come back and talk a little bit about clubs.
I told James I'd help him out. So there's not a whole lot to say here. I think you've heard that there are opportunities for our students to get involved in